Good to see everybody. Hey, Rue. Rue, it's unusual to see you over any place other than on YouTube. Hey, Grace. Other people that have come in, good morning. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this. If you would please share it with your followers. Let me share it to Cloud Hub as well. YouTube is up. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay. There we go. That came up fast today, too. I noticed that Cloud Hub came up. All right. Janet, good morning. Hey. Hey, Bruce, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody? Good to see you. Eduardo. How are you, Eduardo? Hey, Bonnie, good to see you as well. Everybody, Loretta, good to see you. JC, Rue, I just got the notification. Good morning, Chezzy. Patrick, good morning from the most shut down state in the country. I believe that, Patrick, pretty close. Number one fan is in the house. Thank you, JC. Thank you. Hey, Belle, Amy. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Janice. Janice is in and out today, like the burgers in California. Is that what you're saying? So, all right, let me go ahead and read Psalm 28, and then we can get started. To you I will cry, O Lord, my rock, do not be silent to me. Least if you are silent to me, I become like those who go down to the pit. Hear the voice of my supplications when I cry to you, when I lift up my hands toward your holy sanctuary. Do not take me away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, who speak peace to their neighbors, but evil is in their hearts. Give them according to their deeds and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Give them according to the work of their hands. Render to them what they deserve. Amen. Amen. Good morning, Paula. Good to see you. Andrew, good morning. Thomas Kincaid, what's new? Good morning. Good morning, Wanda. Good to see you. All went well on Monday. Thank you for all your thoughts and prayers. Good. Paula said everything went well on Monday, everybody. Good morning, Wayne. Cully, good to see you. All right. There's a lot of, I don't know about you guys, but I have a really heavy heart today. I have to say that, since yesterday, it's been hard to kind of shake things off and kind of get back to some semblance. Robin said she has that too, get some semblance of normalcy, or normalcy, I should say. But we'll talk about that in a second. I'll give you some breaking news. There's been about 870,000 workers filed first-time claims for unemployment last week on a seasonally adjusted basis. That's up slightly from 850,000. So that's the good news. Now let's get to the other news. President Trump and the First Lady went to pay their respects to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I guess they were booed and people said, vote them out. So it's the kind of thing that you want to hear whenever somebody's lying in repose at the Capitol. You want people to pretend that, that you don't have to be respectful, that you can just be a heathen if you'd like and call things out. You know how it goes. Hey, Stephanie, good morning. Good to see you. So, just disappointing to see people acting like they're acting, but no surprise, because then we move on to Louisville, Kentucky, where a suspect has been arrested in the shooting of two officers in Kentucky. It looks like they're both in stable condition. I know last night one officer was in surgery and the other one, I don't know if that person had surgery or just come out of it, but they said that person was in stable condition before the other one, who was currently in surgery last night around, 8 or 9 o'clock my time. So kind of late. And they came out and they had a little press conference. But the whole Breonna Taylor event where charges were levied against one police officer, Officer Hankerson, and he's not charged with causing the death of Breonna. Rather, the police department said he wantonly and blindly fired into an apartment, shooting 10 rounds. So everybody who is out there rioting and protesting and looting and shooting cops, I guess, are angry because the police officer didn't get charged with murder or didn't get individually charged. Hey, Leo Dempsey, you keep the faith too. Thank you. Didn't get charged with the murder of Breonna Taylor. It's something to see that we have basically been lied to throughout this entire Breonna Taylor hearings and everything else, that we were told this was a no-knock warrant. Did they charge her boyfriend that shot first? I don't know. I don't think so, Cully, or I'm not sure, but I haven't heard. But this was not a no-knock. Hey, Brian, no-knock warrant. They knocked. The police knocked and nobody came to the door. And so they broke it down, is what I understand. So why were we lied to? Why the lie? And see, when you lie to people like that, then you get people who are in Louisville, Kentucky, who are, I'm not going to say Antifa or BLM because these people are paid thugs, but I'm talking about people who genuinely think that something is amiss. Those people then think, oh my gosh, hey Danielle, we've been lied to. They just knocked the door down. They didn't say anything, and so it gets them really riled up. And I think that's exactly what they, maybe whoever they are, the Democrats, the liberals who are politicians, the liberals and Democrats who are in the state government there, wanted that to happen, and so they didn't release the truth. You can't. That's just manipulating people. That's all that is total manipulation. Did you see the video of the U-Haul truck in Kentucky unloading the banners and weapons? Patrick said, yes. First I heard this is terrible, no respect for the office. Yeah, I know, Paula. That was about the funeral. The boyfriend gave in his statement that he shot first and the officer did knock. It's on record. Yeah. So, I mean, the U-Haul supposedly was a woman. I have her name here. Let me see if I can find it for you really quickly. She was an alleged George Soros connected organization worker, Holly Zoller, the Louisville Bail Project, that allegedly she drove up in the U-Haul, started handing out signs, shields. I wonder why you need shields when you're protesting if it's peaceful. And banners. So that's supposedly from her. And Ben Shapiro tweeted last night about what happened. He said, that's correct because the officers knocked before serving a warrant, were fired upon. One was seriously wounded and returned fire. This is a tragedy, but it is not a crime. I saw a picture of her in the truck this morning, Robin said. Yeah. So something should be done to her for that. Now, is it illegal to hand out banners and signs? No. Is it illegal to hand out shields? Probably not. Is it illegal to help? And this would be so hard, so difficult to try to prove that she was trying to egg people on to commit a crime, accessory before the crime. It would be very hard to prove. She was a fired EMT worker. There was a rental car on her name with a dead body in it. Her name was also on the warrant, Rue said. I saw the video of a cop on a bike running over a rioter laying in the road. You get what you ask for, Sissy said. It's a mess. It's a mess. Watching last night, hearing people saying, Robin had told me this, that people were saying, go home now and then come back after curfew. Here's what I really think, that when a curfew has called, Susan, are you going to talk about Misty Johnson, the officer in Elk Grove? I haven't heard anything about Misty Johnson. Let me look it up. See what happened here. Police practice expert says Elk Grove officer did nothing wrong. Yeah, I haven't heard about the whole case in Elk Grove, California. Know where it's at, but it says that despite racial profiling allegations, law enforcement experts told ABC 10 the Elk Grove Police Department, seen in a video gaining national attention on social media, did nothing wrong. They say she remained calm, followed standard procedure at all times, and social media has helped blow this incident way out of proportion. But isn't that what we're seeing in everything? We're seeing the social media take something, run with it, and blow it out of proportion. If the FBI would designate them as domestic terrorists, that would charge anyone with aiding them. Yes, Noel, and BLM. Let's not forget BLM. Charge them with being domestic terrorists too, because they certainly are involved in everything like this. Hey, Judy, I think anybody who does this, but what I was going to say, that if there's a curfew and there's a reason for a curfew, if anybody comes out comes out in favor of violating a curfew, or if you are out after a curfew, and there are a few reasons that you can be out after a curfew, otherwise you need to be home, then I think people should be arrested, especially in a case like this. I mean, look what happened last night, because people weren't arrested who were out violating curfew. 2 police officers got shot. Now, Breonna's family got $12 million, Chezzy, which was the highest awarded amount in Kentucky ever. $8 million was the last time. I think there's a law about instigating terrorism. There is, Mike, but nobody has designated them as a terrorist group yet. So, you know, they can't get her anything. Good morning, Michelle. Good to see you. So, you know, they need to hurry up and do something. Let's see. Now, here's some things that went on, and this was some of the things I found on Twitter after this happened. Kerry Washington, who seems to be a blue checkmark type individual, they need to shut it down sooner. Judy said yes. Good morning, Lori. Well, again, they need to arrest people who are violating curfew, period. Because people who want to riot and loot and cause trouble come out after dark, and that's usually when the curfews are. So they need to just arrest them immediately, put them in a truck, go. All right. So Kerry Washington said Daniel Cameron, and that is the AG of Kentucky, who's a Republican. He said Daniel Cameron is on Donald Trump's short list as the replacement of RGB on the Supreme Court. Now, I don't even think that was ever true, because Trump only looked at women. So this guy on social media immediately has lied, because he knows nobody's going to check it out. Nobody's going to question what he has to say. He said the same man who decided to not charge the officers responsible for killing Breonna Taylor. So you see, now they want this. And if you don't know who Daniel Cameron is, he is a black man who is the AG, like I said, in Kentucky. Got to arrest early to stop large groups. Yes, absolutely. So Kerry Washington is, I believe, a black man as well. So he's just making stuff up so that people will turn on Daniel Cameron, that black people will turn on Daniel Cameron, that anybody will turn on Daniel Cameron. Yes, Daniel Cameron's brilliant too. It was the grand jury's decision, not Cameron's. But see, Robin, you're correct. But since when did truth have, get in the way of anything, right? Because truth doesn't matter anymore. If you've noticed that, for everything that we've seen lately, truth doesn't matter. Truth is like, what? How do you even spell that anymore? People don't care. Soros needs to be put in jail, Mike said. Good morning, Charlotte Woods. Good to see you. What's the point of a curfew if they're not going to enforce it? Exactly, Stephanie. Hey, Bob. The handout from BLM calls for the murder of cops, their families, and their supporters. I think that qualifies them as a domestic terrorist organization. Stephanie, absolutely. Those thugs didn't even listen to him. They didn't want to listen to him, Robin, because they wanted to come after someone. They wanted Daniel Cameron to give out the information from the grand jury. They wanted to know, I guess, who's on the grand jury. Why is that? Because they want to go probably and violate their rights at their home, because it's become a mob mentality. Most uninformed don't know how the grand juries work. Well, yeah, they know how the prison system works. Most of the people that were in Antifa and BLM and out in the streets last night, they know how that works really well. They just don't know how the law works. Also, here's what's happening. We have come to the point of lawlessness. So many people don't want truth. They're comfortable believing what they want. Nanette said, yes. We've come to the point where hey, Lynn, we just avoid looking at the law. If you, for every criminal offense that there is, there are typically steps, that you have to fulfill. Like I said before, larceny is an unlawful taking of the personal property of another with the intent to permanently deprive. Did you hear all the elements? If you're wanting to prove larceny, like in California, you have to prove every single element. So if you want to prove murder, there are elements that you must prove. If those elements aren't there, you can't charge somebody for murder just because you want to. So what's happening is there's no longer, Dee said exactly, Susan, there's no longer criminal justice that people are looking at. They're looking at Okay, Matlock. Okay, baloney. They're looking at street justice, and that's different. That's absolutely different. Pound that like button, JC said. So, we've moved on to street justice is what we've done. We're ignoring the courts now. We're ignoring the criminal justice system altogether. And we're just moving right out into the street. We're taking things, not any of you, not me, but we're taking things the liberal left into their own hands to do whatever they want, to give their own brand of justice, if you will. Hey, Kathy, good to see you. And that's not justice. That's lawlessness. And the Bible did say that we would get here, and we're here. Now, this other guy named Ibram X. Kendi, here's what he wrote. He's an author about anti-racism. Okay. This is probably what I'm going to tell you is very racist, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He said, need to hire more pimps, Kim Cully said. To be black in America is to walk in the valley of the shadow of pain and death. That he borrowed that from the Bible and changed it. The fact that black people still manage to carry on and create and find joy and love in the valley is nothing short of a miracle. Hello, Alex. I know this is our lover, Breonna Taylor, is filling us with rage. Love doesn't fill you with rage. See, that's where you kind of got off there. And do you think the cop should have been charged? We know, Judy said. He was charged. Was not a sufficient amount, obviously, to find him with any other crime, or the grand jury would have. I'm sure of it. The grand jury probably was trying very hard to find something. He probably borrowed it from Coolio. Exactly. Good morning, Sally. Good to see you. Ibram X. Zindi said, or Kendi, whatever his name is, the law is lawless, and it has been ever since the law replaced the master. Oh my gosh, talk about racism. The boyfriend shot first, Robin said. Yes, that's true. And we've forgotten about the boyfriend, right? We've forgotten, it's unfortunate. It's a tragedy that, but for the police officers having to come after the boyfriend, right, with a warrant, none of this would have happened. And unfortunately, Breonna, picked a bad boyfriend, too. Doesn't mean anybody should have died. I'm just saying a horrible set of circumstances. Sally said she was involved. Just a horrible set of circumstances all together, that if you were living your best possible life that you could live as a, God-fearing person. Oh, 2 boyfriends, the ex and the current one. Okay. 2 bad boyfriends. So if you're living your best life, it doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen to you, but it surely cuts down on the bad things that happen to you. And it's unfortunate that she was in that place, whether willingly participating or, whatever the case may be. And unfortunately now she's dead because of it. And again, the grand jury, if you're going to say, well, the grand jury didn't find murder because they're all racist, then you're going to have to assume that most people in the world aren't looking for justice anymore. And, in this day and age, that could be, but typically people, her name was on the search warrant. There you go, Brian. Typically people these days that are called to sit on the grand jury try to do a good job. They just do. He was using her address to ship drugs. The police knocked and announced himself. Yes, Sally, we said that. They did knock. Lynch mob mentality. It's the shadow of the valley, a real place. Her name was on the warrant too. Ruth said, yeah. So, and her family received $12 million. And I'm not sure why, other than maybe the fact that the police officer just fired willy-nilly into the building, and that could have been a very much a negligence claim there, and they went ahead and settled it beforehand. So it's an absolute tragedy. Wrongful death claim, yes, Robin. So they just settled it ahead of time because they knew it was going to be bad no matter what. So, but it's still a tragedy. It's a loss of life. And it's a tragedy. And it's a shame, that now, because of what happened, because of a decision that was lawfully handed down, people are choosing to go out and shoot police officers and riot and, do whatever. I mean, we don't call it riot anymore because that's not politically correct. But it's just a shame all the way around. I was upset with the police until I heard Kentucky AG speak. Yeah, but why be upset, with the police? I mean, I wanted to wait for the facts to come out. I wasn't, and I don't want to be insensitive. I really don't, because if that were one of my relatives, I would be upset, especially if I had been lied to, as we were lied to. You must know your target before you shoot, Wayne said. It didn't stop these thugs from using this as an excuse. No, it didn't. Well, I was very confused about the story. Well, and they kept us confused. The AG was crying, which I couldn't understand. I think, Danielle, I'll tell you, I can't speak for him, but I'll just tell you, having worked as a law clerk in the prosecutor's office, when you see stuff about what has happened, which normally doesn't all go to the public, some of the things that you have to read are heart-wrenching. And I'll say that because I've read a lot of files from alleged murders. As we say, Susan, we can't try a case in the media. They hide the facts. Yes. And a lot of those things that you read they stay with you. I can think of details right now from cases I read regarding murders that happened back in the 1980s. He was crying about the 12 million, Wayne said. So anyway, I think that, I think also too, when something like that goes wrong, when you go to somebody's house as a police officer with a warrant, you don't want everybody you don't want it to end poorly. You want the people to just go peacefully and be arrested, And so anytime something like that happens, it is heart-wrenching. Somebody died. A human being died, whether she was innocent, guilty, or not. A human being died, and that's a tragedy, no matter what. It really is. But you can't be mad at the police officers for knocking on a door to serve a warrant, being shot at, and then returning fire. I guess you can be upset for them, as the grand jury found, for just kind of this one guy shooting into a building, without, like Wayne said, finding your target and seeing who you're shooting at. If you want to be mad at them, be mad. But other than that, come on. There's a recording of her saying she picked up the money, so she was involved with all the illegal things, which is, again, that's sad. It's sad. I guess she was trying to be a nurse or an EMT or something like that. And it's too bad that she fell off of the tracks, if you will. It reminds me, and this is not on the same level, so don't misquote me, but it's like a Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown thing. Hanging around criminals, things can happen. Cully said, yes. Be mad at the boyfriend for putting her in harm's way. And you have to be mad at her too. God rest her soul, for putting herself in danger. Put yourself in the police officer's shoes and be shot at. You are defending your life. Yes, Robin, you are. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't be a cop today if you paid me and I went through the police academy. There's no way I would do that. If I were a police officer, I would probably go ahead and resign, because every single solitary day you are a target. When you don't deserve it, for the most part, you're a target anyway. And so why would you want to do this job? They don't get paid that much to go out and put their lives on the line every single day. They do it because they do love it. And, you just do. Remember, this whole thing was over in minutes. Yes. And it was night and it was dark, or it was early morning or whatever. It was dark. A lot of bad decisions were made. One of the worst decisions was made by the boyfriend, who shot first. My concealed carry permit does not allow me to shoot through the doors. Yep. They want to eliminate law enforcement. Yep. So a lot of bad things happened. Boyfriend should be going to jail for attempted murder, but I haven't heard anything. I guess her name will start appearing on football helmets. There are already paintings that I've seen that make her look just like this beautiful, angelic human seeing. It's all there. So again, truth no longer matters, I guess. Kentucky gun laws are very open, Judy said. Yeah. So again, I'm sorry for the loss of life, whether she's a criminal or not. I hate to see people go down that road. I think that all people can have an opportunity to be saved. Some don't accept it, but it would be nice if they had a chance. This isn't about race. Any idiot can see that, Luis said. Well, no, not every idiot can see that, Luis, because they're out there rioting and looting over it. I don't know about the looting part. I kind of didn't want to watch that last night, but they certainly are out there shooting. Same hero status as Floyd. Yep. If we are upset with the police, it needs to be before arresting people not wearing a mask and singing hymns. Yeah. No fuss whatsoever for so many police officers who were shot. So sad. Yeah. Because their lives don't really matter. Looks like we're right in the middle of good is bad and bad is good. Yes, Rue, we certainly are. We are. And we're in the middle of, of lawlessness. That's exactly where we find ourselves right now. All right. So I want to go on and talk a little bit more about other things. This morning, Cully sent me this videotape with Dan Bongino. Yep. Upside down world. Yep. Brainwashing, Janice said. Yeah. Helter skelter. Sally said. Absolutely. Dan Bongino found a lump on his neck and in another place as well. He needs your prayers. He did have an MRI, and it's not something that is typically benign. But so, hey, Teresa, so please keep him in your prayers and pray that everything works out for him. It's just, it's so sad to see these things start happening to people who are, that you've been following for a while, like Rush Limbaugh and all the other things. So I hope that it turns out to be something that is very treatable, and, he gets back. I think he said Friday, sometime this week, to New York for either further testing or have it removed. I'm not sure exactly. And it's in a bad place. It's on vocal cords and his carotid artery. So that makes it even more difficult. Jenna says we pray. Yes. All right. Oh no, prayers for him. Yes, absolutely. Good, good man's been through a lot. Great secret service agent. Asked Nancy and Sleepy Joe why only the good die young. Well, if you ask them about anything that's good, they're not going to be able to answer you, Luis. Good morning, blessings and shalom. Good morning, living grace. Now, I watched another video that really, yes, Robin. I'll talk about that now really quickly. When yesterday, when Nancy had her little, press conference, and I forget what she was even talking about, because I don't watch Nancy. She makes me physically ill when she's talking. So I really try to avoid watching her. But I noticed that Nadler had just gotten finished talking at the podium, and he walked to the side of the podium. He looked like he was going to either fall, faint, pass out, same thing. I don't know what was happening, but he stood there and he actually waddled back and forth, trying to, it seemed like, to get his bearings. Now, somebody joked that he had, was drinking. I don't know that there had been a luncheon or anything like that, but it was scary. Looks like he recently had a stroke. It didn't look good, Robin. It didn't look good at all. He looked very unhealthy, and it was scary looking. So I don't know what's happening, but, it seems like a lot of things are happening. Somebody said he blanked his pants. Wow. Really? Was that a joke, or did that happen? I mean, it could be. Physically ill. Yeah, Grace is laughing. He's fighting pancreatic cancer, Danielle said. I hadn't heard that he had cancer, but wow. I know his wife. I thought his wife had cancer, but I didn't know he did. He's not well to leave Congress. No, that was his wife. That's what I thought, Robin. It was his wife who has the cancer. So I'm sure he's under a lot of stress. I'm surprised we are talking about this. Why, Boston Tea? Yes, you're right. Sorry, Danielle said. Why are you surprised we're talking about this? I mean, if you have a congressperson that's ill, whether they're Republican or Democrat, don't you think it's worth talking about? We are the people, right? And they are the ones that work for us. So if we have somebody who's unhealthy and can't fulfill their position, should we not be talking about it? Yes, and conservatives pray for Dems, but they hope we die. Yes. And, I prayed for his wife and hoped that she gets well. And if he's sick, I would not want to see anything happen to him. But it's concerning. It's very concerning seeing another person in Congress. I don't like Nadler's politics, but I pray for him. Exactly, Bob. But I see a number of kind of people who I'm not sure are well, like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, now Nadler just stepped in. Who are we discussing? John Mott, I just said the names. We should pray for our leaders. Yep, that's because we are good people. They are hateful. He needs Jesus as he's Jewish. I don't know what religion he is, and doesn't really matter to me, but never found out why Trump left the stage to take a call. Yeah, he said it was an emergency call. I don't think we'll ever find out. I've been praying for God to remove the evil, but I don't wish him harm to anyone. Exactly. Working for us, what's Nancy's excuse? I know, Grace. Supposedly these people do work for us. And if they're unhealthy, they probably should not be in the position. I think Joe is setting himself up to not show for debate, Robin said. Could be. I wonder if there really is going to be a debate. I kind of doubt it. Okay, so another video that I saw was a woman who was sitting in, I think it was in a middle school. She was sitting in the stands watching a game. Same God, different prophets. I don't know what that means, Louise, but I doubt it as well, Sally said. But she was sitting in the stands, looked like she was sitting with her family, like maybe 5 other members or something like that. She was just sitting there. There was nobody in front of that group. There was nobody behind the group. The stands were just as barren as I've ever seen them. An Ohio football game. Was it a middle school game or something like that, Cully? Because, I mean, I couldn't see what was on the field. That's the police who concern me, yes. So what happened was this guy, I don't know if he was a rent-a-cop or a real police officer. So somebody could tell me that. Big guy. I mean, he was big. No, yeah, she wasn't a girl. She was a woman. But he walked up to her and I guess told her to put on a mask, and she refused. She wasn't wearing a mask. Again, remember when Fauci sat there without his mask on next to his wife and his friend? Well, she was probably, like I said, in the group with her family. They were all sitting together. Wouldn't put on the mask. And he basically arrested her, and she did resist. And I heard that she had been tasered as well. Again, when you're looking at the restrictions that the government can put on your constitutional right, it has to be something that is not an overly undue burdensome. Don't tase me, bro. Yeah. Undue burden on your constitutional rights. I think when you're tasing somebody and arresting them, we've crossed the lines there. Some people are saying the call was from the governor of Kentucky. Oh, Brian, that's very well could be. And that would make sense that was President Trump's emergency call. That makes sense because he said he had spoken with Bashir. So that's probably what it was. Thank you for telling us that. So anyway, if I had been that woman, I would not have resisted arrest, but I would have sued them later on for my civil rights violation. Barr has got to step in about the mask. Did she break a law? I don't know what the law of Ohio, probably what the emperor, I don't know if the emperor is making you wear a mask in public. So I don't know for a mask, but it's okay to burn down something. I know, Wayne, it's ridiculous. And then also this is really disheartening. I heard Monterey County has $100 mask fine. That's ridiculous. Good God. Well, New Mexico, they're draconian. There are no laws about masks, just mandates. Robin said. Okay, hold on. Mask mandate is against Tennessee Constitution. We have 500 here in Alabama. 500 what, Robin? Because there's a lot of conversation going on. Let's see. Been praying Nancy and Newsom are outvoted. Just saw that about the lady in the stands. Gestapo-like tactics. Yeah. Oh, $500 for not wearing. That's ridiculous. See, listen, you want to know something scary? There's not a fine in California, okay? There's not a monetary fine in California, and if there is, people aren't enforcing it. But I don't think there is a fine. I love police. My niece is a police officer, but they need to take a stand with this garbage. Judy said that's why we're suing Governor Lee. We are mandated to wear masks. So 5 Christians were arrested for singing in the parking lot. Damn, Susan, Barkhelm, Buck Thorn, whatever. Why would you say damn, Susan? Just because it sounds good? Okay, so 5 Christians were arrested for singing in the parking lot in Moscow, Idaho. We're talking Idaho. Not talking California. We're talking Idaho. Christians, when are you going to start standing up? Christians, when are you going to start standing up? People, when are you going to start standing up? It's unfortunate because people are so brainwashed now that they just think, well, look at those people without wearing masks. They deserve it. You know, get them off the street. Oh, they're singing. Look there. We've been told that singing is bad. Get them off the street. Oh, I'll say we're past halftime, so let's go ahead and reshare. I didn't know we'd gone past it. Thank you for reminding me now, or I would never would have gotten. So please continue to invite your followers in. All right. Now, and why was it illegal to sign? To sign what, Robin? So, okay. Also, there were, oops, let me turn this off just one second. There were 5 Christians arrested, like I said, for singing in the parking lot of Moscow, Idaho. Nobody said anything to them. Nobody, you know, like people didn't stand up, I guess, and try to stop it. And you really can't get in the middle of a police officer when they're doing their job. You can sue them later, but now, you know, when their arrests are happening, it really isn't the time. But people have got to start suing. I hope these people sue. I hope they sue for civil rights violations and everything else. All right. So DeSantis in Florida, he has a new proposal that would make damaging property and other acts of violence felony offenses. The governor also said that he will consider cutting off state funds to cities that try to defund the police. That's very good. Interesting name of town, Moscow. I know, Stephanie. I'm like, really? Moscow? New wreath, beautiful. Thank you, Grace. That is my fall wreath. So yeah, it's a new wreath. I sold the Hanukkah wreaths that I have. I sold that one, and it arrived safely to its new owner. All governors need to follow DeSantis. Yes. Now, President Trump is expected today to put forth a healthcare plan that draws on executive actions on price transparency and rebate. Oh, Teresa, go to my Facebook page. You can see it. I can send it to you. There's a video of it on my Facebook page, on my timeline. It turned out, it was really pretty. The colors, it was just, it was really pretty. It was a little, I had to find a box that was like 30 by 30 by 11, so it was a big box. Yeah, it's on my Facebook page. If you can't find it, just instant message me and I'll send it to you. President Trump is expected again to put forth a healthcare plan that draws on executive actions on price transparency and rebate reform with the pledge to protect people who suffer from pre-existing conditions. Trump will discuss the healthcare plan when he goes to North Carolina today, and then he's going to later to Florida for a rally tonight or a peaceful protest. So that should be very cool. Stephanie said, gorgeous Hanukkah wreath. Thank you, Stephanie. Let's see. John Mott said the official word from Moscow, Idaho is that the Christians were breaking the mask and social distancing guidelines. Yeah, I know, John. Still doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean squat. That's a total violation of your constitutional rights to go that far, in my opinion. All right. So I would say he really needs to discuss healthcare. The thing of it is, too, one of the things that I've been saying for the last couple of days is I want President Trump to go ahead and declare that the crisis with coronavirus is over.
I don't think he's going to do that. One of the reasons he's not going to do that is, he'd be attacked by the mainstream media. But also, if you say the crisis is over, then there's no need for a vaccine, right? And now that everybody's making the vaccine, you don't want to say, well, you don't really need the vaccine, or you don't want to make people think that they don't need the vaccine. So we're not likely to hear that. Also, President Trump said something yesterday that was alarming to me. And he said that about 50%, there's been about a 50% increase in those people who are going out and getting flu shots now. We've heard how, like, if you have a flu shot and you get coronavirus, some experts are saying how much worse that will be on you. The election will change several things. Janice said he needs to say you don't have to wear a mask. Robin, he hasn't said you have to wear a mask. He said it's patriotic, but he didn't say you had to. I had an interesting debate at my doctor's office regarding wearing a mask. Vince was attacked by a mask Karen. Of course. Yep, of course. A mainstream media makes me vomit, Grace said. I know. Where is he? In North Carolina? I think he's in Charlotte. Wait, he's in Charlotte, North Carolina, I believe. So that, to me, that's not good news. Now, the first set of data published in the new National COVID-19 School Response Data Dashboard, launched by researchers at Brown University, showed that only a fraction of students and teachers had been diagnosed with the coronavirus from August 31st to September 13. Walmart here, we're pushing flu shots in August. That's too early. Fox cut off Dr. Oz when he said flu shot causes positive COVID results. Yep, I bet they did, Robin. The tracker shows an average of 230 cases per 100,000 students, 490 cases per 100 member. The tracker collected data from over 550 schools. So it's just a fraction of those people who are returning to school are even getting cases, right? We're not even talking about being hospitalized. Now we've started to just focus on cases, and even the cases for children and teachers in school are extremely low, according to the Brown University study that was done. So unbelievable. Now, Indiana. So if you're thinking about maybe where can you go to get away from the mask mandate, Indiana this week will move forward towards its final phase of reopening from its coronavirus shutdown. They're entering stage 5 on Saturday in a move that's going to reopen most social venues and retail spaces to its full capacity. Their mask mandate is going to be replaced with mask recommendation. So, I mean, that is really good. Way to go, Indiana. Who thought Indiana would be leading the way? I know Florida did some things in the beginning. Florida is probably not as open as Indiana is going to be. And certainly Texas isn't even. So come on, people. Now, yes, that's what we all need to do. Exactly. Hey, Gary, good to see you. From the crowds each time the poison is mentioned. Yeah, I used to really enjoy Trump rallies, but ever since he started talking about vaccines, I can't even watch. Doesn't he hear the story silence from the crowds each time? Gary, again, there are some things politically that he probably feels he has to do. Our deadline in Alabama is supposed to end October 2nd. Yeah, well, don't hold your breath, Robin. My doctor keeps telling me masks are helpful. I told him to read the statistics. I absolutely don't agree with him. They're helpful for bacteria, Grace. And your doctor would know that. That's why your doctor can generalize and say they're helpful, because they are for bacteria. My governor and wife have coronavirus. Dems are now attacking him. Brian, he was tested positive for coronavirus. That's your governor in Missouri. That doesn't mean that he's going to be hospitalized. It doesn't even mean that he has symptoms. He tested positive. Now, if he were like Emperor DeWine in Ohio, he should be tested again. He'll probably come out negative. But, so anyway, I heard the next protest will be against the mask. Well, I hope so, Danielle. So my doctor was wearing a mask and goggles. Well, maybe it's time to get a new doctor, Sally. All right. So Pam Popper of YouTube said something yesterday that I felt was very It's, if you're positive, it's like you have the plan. Yeah, of course, Robin. So Pam Popper said something that was really funny. She said, not funny, but horrible. Let me just go back. Funny meaning odd, but in Tennessee is what they're going to do, what they have said they're going to do, is they're going to send contact tracers to every person's home who has a minor child. And they want to interview that minor child without the presence of the parents. Okay. And this is Tennessee, people, Tennessee. And she said that they're one of the states that if you're online teaching, because schools aren't open in some places in Tennessee, I guess, then you as a parent have to agree that you will not watch what's going on. Wrong, stranger danger. Yeah. So Tennessee, and Tennessee has a Republican governor. We've got to start standing up for this. We really are we're a lot complacent. Now, Josh Kaplan at Breitbart reported yesterday, not watch the classes, Celeste. You're not allowed. You have to promise as a parent that you're going, Tennessee can't see, that you're not going to watch your child's online classes, that you agree not to do that. So, all right, Josh Kaplan at Breitbart talked about how the Florida Attorney General has opened an investigation into Michael Bloomberg's pledge to help felons pay their debts. Hey, Jerry. Bloomberg paid off the debts of 32,000 felons, about $16 million. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. And so I also heard that LeBron James, he's paid more than a vote initiative on Friday, committed $100,000 to the to the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. So there might be more than just one person. It might be LeBron James joining. Yeah, you can't pay to, sort of make an outcome that you want. It's okay. We're at Bible time right now. Gosh, Judy, you're just behind everything today. All right, so let's get started. We are in Hebrews for our Bible time today. I wonder what would happen if parents refused to agree to that. Well, I guess their kid wouldn't be allowed to go to school. But I'll tell you what, if you're in my house and you're my kid and the school tells you that, you're going to be homeschooled. You're not going to be going to school. Okay, we're in Hebrews. God's supreme revelation. Chapter 1, God, who at various times and in various ways spoke in time past to the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, through whom also he made the world, who, being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sin, sat down at the right hand of the majesty on high, having become so much better than the angels, as he has by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. The Son exalted above angels. For to which of the angels did he ever say, "You are my son, today I have begotten you"? And again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. But when he again brings the firstborn into the world, he says, "Let all the angels of God worship him." And of the angels, he says, "Who makes his angels spirits and his ministers a flame of fire." But to the Son, he says, "Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of your kingdom. You have loved righteousness and hated lawlessness. Therefore, God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companion. And you, Lord, in the beginning laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands, and they will perish, but you remain, and they will all grow old like a garment, like a cloak you will fold them up, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will not fail. But to which of the angels has he ever said, "Sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool"? Can't wait for that day when God's enemies are his footstool. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for those who will inherit salvation? Chapter 2, do not neglect salvation. Therefore we must give the more earnest heed to the things we have heard, lest we drift away. For if the word spoken through angels proved steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just reward, how shall we escape if we neglect so great a salvation, which at the first begun to be spoken by the Lord, and was confirmed to us by those who heard him? God also bearing witness both with signs and wonders, with various miracles and gifts of the Holy Spirit, according to his own will. The Son made lower than angels. For he has not put the world to come of which we speak in subjection to angels, but one testified in a certain place, saying, what is man that you are mindful of him, or the Son of Man that you take care of him? You have made him a little lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor, and set him over the works of your hands. You have put all things in subjection under his feet. For in that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing that is not put under him. For now we do not yet see all things put under him, but we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he, by the grace of God, might taste death for everyone, bringing many sons to glory. For it was fitting for him, for whom all are things, and by whom all are things, in bringing many sons to glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For both he who sanctifies and those who are being sanctified are all of one, for which reason he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare your name to my brethren. In the midst of the assembly, I will sing praise to you. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, here I am and the children whom God has given me. Inasmuch then as the children have partaken of flesh and blood, he himself likewise shared in the same, that through death he might destroy him who had the power of death, that is, the devil, and release those who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For indeed he does not give aid to angels, but he does give aid to the seed of Abraham. Therefore in all things he had to be made like his, that he might be a faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself has suffered, being tempted, he is able to aid those who are tempted. Chapter 3, the Son was faithful. Therefore, holy brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our confession, Jesus Christ, who was faithful to him who appointed him, as Moses also was faithful in all his house. For this one has been counted worthy of more glory than Moses, inasmuch as he who built the house has more honor than the house. For every house is built by someone, but he who built all things is God. And Moses indeed was faithful in all his house as a servant, for a testimony of those things which would be spoken afterward. But Christ is a son over his own house, whose house we are, if we hold fast the confidence and the rejoicing of the hope firm to the end. Be faithful. Therefore, as the Holy Spirit says, today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion, in the day of trial in the wilderness, where your fathers tested me, tried me, and saw my works 40 years. Therefore, I was angry with that generation and said, they always go astray in their heart, and they have not known my ways. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Beware, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God, but exhort one another daily while it is called today, lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. For we have become partners of Christ if we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast to the end, while it is said, today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion. Failure of the wilderness wanderers. For who, having heard, rebelled? Indeed, was it not all who came out of Egypt led by Moses? Now with whom was he angry 40 years? Was it not with those who sinned, whose corpses fell in the wilderness? And to whom did he swear that they would not enter his rest, but to those who did not obey? So we see that they could not enter in because of unbelief. Chapter 4, the promise of rest. Therefore, since a promise remains of entering his rest, let us fear lest any of you seem to have come short of it. For indeed the gospel was preached to us as well as to them, but the word which they heard did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in those who heard it. For we who have believed do enter the rest, as he has said. So I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Although the works were finished from the foundation of the world, for he has spoken in a certain place of the seventh day in this way. And God rested on the seventh day from all his works, and again in this place they shall not enter my rest. Since therefore it remains that some must enter it, and those to whom it is first preached did not enter because of disobedience, again he designates a certain day, saying in David, today, after such a long time, as it has been said, today if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. For if Joshua had given them rest, then he would not have afterward have spoken of another day. There remains therefore a rest for the people of God. For he who has entered his rest has himself also ceased from his works, as God did from his. The word discovers our condition. Let us therefore be diligent to enter that rest, lest anyone fall according to the same example of disobedience. For the word of God is living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, and of joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Whoops, 1 second. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Our compassionate high priest, seeing then that we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our confession, for we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Amen, amen, amen. And we should all be going towards that throne now for grace and mercy. Amen. Thank you, Susan. Where did you read that about Tennessee? Sally, go to Pam Popper at YouTube from, I believe it was yesterday. Pretty sure it was yesterday's video that she has it in there. So you'll hear what she had to say. Was not good. Was not good. All right. So thank you, everybody, for being here. If you haven't gone today, thank you, Judy. Thank you. And God bless you, Susan. Thank you. If you haven't gone today to susanknowles.com, please read my article there from today about what Shifty Schiff and Nancy Pelosi are trying to do in taking more powers away from the president. Thank you, Susan. You're welcome, Boston T. Thank you, Susan. You're welcome, Lori. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie. And if you would please retweet this. I didn't listen to her scope yesterday. We'll do. Yeah, it'll surprise you, Sally. What can I say? All right, everybody. God bless you. Please retweet this, and God willing, we'll see you again